Welcome to another episode of Tell Me More. This week, we talk about the Flourishing Survey and how well it went, and we also talk about ants. So go watch some ants after you listen to this podcast. We hope you enjoy it.
Well, good morning. It is Monday morning, and we're in the studio.
Look at us. Look at us.
And we're ready to roll. We are working today.
We are working.
And we're excited for it. So there's a lot to talk about, actually. We could jump right into the sermon, which was excellent and brings up a lot of conversation. I do think we should pause and maybe celebrate that we had another milestone moment in our flourishing journey.
And just
yesterday.
what was that milestone moment?
We actually had the church take the Flourishing in the Church survey.
And how did that go?
Well, on the numbers perspective, extremely well.
That's right. Yeah, we don't know about.
We don't know the results yet.
We don't know about the answers to any of the questions, but
so
many people participated.
Hopefully,
Praise
y'all
God.
participated with us yesterday, either online or in person, and you have taken it. And if not, I'll just go ahead and plug it. FBCA.org/survey is live and redirects you right there, and it's going to be open for at least 10 days, 2
the
weeks,
rest of
somewhere
this
in there.
next week,
Yeah.
this week and next week.
Yeah, because we'll push it again
900
Sunday.
of you.
At the end of the Sunday morning, basically. I don't know when that number came in, but it was
Staggering.
like before 2, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, 880
Incredible.
something had already
Incredible.
finished the survey.
Y'all are
Way to go,
incredible.
First Baptist. Way to go, y'all.
Thanks for sponsoring this podcast.
I don't know what I
Absolutely.
thought was going to happen, but that exceeded my
Yeah,
expectations.
me too.
Y'all are
exceeded
just
my
And
so
it
good.
did Kate Long and Scott
I
Hare.
was texting with Kate,
Yeah,
not
they-
Scott. Kurt was
they,
texting with both of them,
Yeah,
but it just
they were very pleased.
yeah. And I don't know how many. We don't lead with this because it's more. It's a tell me more kind of thing, but we're the first church to actually do it. I mean, there's
In
11
America.
churches participating.
In America.
But
First church in America to
there-
do this.
are there other churches?
No, first church in the world.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
So,
to
yeah,
do
no,
this.
that's what I thought. We were so when I say
Very
we're the first
first church to do
yes,
it.
we're the first church to actually do it. I mean, there are 11 other churches that will be doing it in the next few
Correct.
weeks and months, but we're the first one to have scheduled it.
Pretty awesome.
Pulled it off.
Just knocked it out of the park.
So obviously it means something to
terms of taking
us.
it.
And I mean, like y'all, if you've taken it, there's 70 questions,
Yeah,
75, and some of them are pretty honest. I mean, they're all honest, but some of them are tender. They're just real kind of raw.
It's about flourishing.
It is. I mean, one of the first service kind of peer level for me, age-wise, she came out and she was like, ooh, that was kind of tough. Like, you're asking some pretty serious questions about my spiritual life, about our church's health, just really, really good. So when you say how it went, I'm like, well, people had an honest look in the mirror.
That's right.
And
now we'll get one.
And now we get the aggregate of it. I'm hopeful sooner than later, we as a cohort, these 11 churches, we don't get to see everyone's aggregate data until late spring because
Correct.
they have to, that's a lot more correlation. They have to
Right.
I'm not trying to say correlation. Whatever a copier does.
A lot of work.
Collating. They have to put it all together. And then they'll be able to report back to Kurt and Dr. Wiles and I, and we'll go to that. But we're hopeful
Go
that we
from
can
there.
actually get ours a lot sooner.
That's right.
They've been super helpful with us because they appreciate our participation with them. It's truly kind of hand in hand. And so
good.
But Kate was texting me because it's the first one. And this is her Harvard level research project. I mean, not project for school. This is her work. Speaking of, and I showed Dr. Wiles, she had like, the first day of school jitters or whatever you want to call it, because this is like, it's real. It's happening. I've put months and years into this. I mean, y'all know, just putting together a survey like that has to have the highest of board reviews, the highest of ethical reviews. It has to be passed by all these standards. So it's finally there. A church has finally agreed to do it. We do it. And then everybody does it.
Yep.
Just a big day for them too. So
All around.
mostly it matters what happens with our people, but it is nice to be a part of something larger
Yeah,
and to
of
feel like we're
course.
blessing them.
Yeah.
So, no.
And-
What's it like for you, Dr. Wells, being up there?
Oh,
Because obviously this is born in you a year and a half ago now, I guess.
Yeah, like I said Sunday morning, when I first landed on this sense that this is what we were supposed to be a part of, I mean, I had no idea what would happen. I didn't know that we could access a survey. I knew that we were too late for the global flourishing study itself, and that really wasn't, I say too late, we weren't the target.
To be in that.
Yeah, it's a random sampling of Americans. It's not.
And it's the 12 questions
Yes,
that we have
and-
looked at together.
Yes, but it's like a 90 question survey that is the global flourishing
It's not just
study.
the 12. Oh, I
right?
misunderstood
No, it's
that.
like 90 questions,
Yeah.
and it's
But they're not really at the heart of what we
No,
want.
they're not
No.
aimed at Christians, just human beings and flourishing from a human perspective. And so That wasn't what we were going to be a part of, but we could participate in learning and becoming a part of their network, if you will. And I mean, very early on, when I emailed Byron Johnson, he leads the Institute for the Studies of Religion at Baylor, but he is a sociologist, and he is the Baylor connection to the Global Flourishing Study. He wrote me back immediately. We began, talking to each other, and one of the very first day, actually, he said, "I want you to meet Scott Hare." Scott's a Methodist minister in San Antonio that we've already enlisted to be a non-resident fellow with us. And so, within the first week of my correspondence with Byron, and we didn't even really know here, I'd not even shared anything with y'all yet about any of it. I was still
on study leave,
trying to figure it out, and already introduced to Scott, trying to figure out what this might mean. And I had already kind of laid out a plan that had to do with flourishing and productivity and fruitfulness, but it wasn't tied in any way to this study. And so that added to it, obviously. And so, it was very fulfilling to see the church embrace it as fully as they have already, but certainly Sunday morning. So I was pretty pumped about it, and I was surprised just because I didn't know. Not everybody wants to take a survey. We've talked with Kate about that. I'm not good at it. Like when somebody calls my house and wants me to take a survey, or if they're, if you're doing something online, it'll say, "Would you mind staying on for 5 more minutes?" And I'm typically like, no, probably not. And so I was prepared for that. And that's just not how our people responded.
Because y'all are just so good.
They are. They're pretty awesome. Yeah, they're just great. And I love the fact that we get to hear an aggregate assessment of our people's honest take on where they are in their own spiritual lives, where they sense that our church is in its ministry life. And it really wasn't the kind of thing where you're judging the quality of things per se. To me, it's more of just your assessment of how do you really feel like our church is doing in these areas, and you may not even be a part of one of those areas, but you still have a sense of it, and I think that's going to help us assess some things. I hope it also helps us assess how to better minister to our people. So that's 2026, obviously. So I'm pretty excited about it all.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
We'll tease it again next week, but this was the big emphasis.
But it was a great Sunday all around. We had the survey. We had parent dedication.
We did,
How
man.
about those little babes?
Oh,
So
my
sweet.
goodness. It's just very fulfilling as well. And just seeing all those families and their families. And it was a sweet, sweet day. My goodness. It was a full day. We had a lot of stuff. Our little granddaughter Adler, was her 5th birthday, so we had a big party for her, and it just went on and on and on. We went to one of these play places for a while, and then came back to our house and unwrapped all the presents. And she had a very memorable, fun 5th birthday. I don't remember my 5th birthday.
Let me think about it. No, can't say. We kept marching at the Hodges house. Ryan stayed for GCC, just kind of helping the engagement world of our church march on. And then we came back for the marriage seminar last night with Craig Curry and his wife.
Heard that went really well.
Yeah, it's good. It was good. But Sunday can just kind of fly by, can it?
What a great Sunday.
On.
That's right.
At First Baptist Arlington, who
But
sponsors
thank
this
God
podcast.
it's Monday.
There it is. Let's talk about it.
Thank God it's Monday.
Thank
So
God.
Thank God it's Monday.
we did fit a sermon in there.
We did. In the middle of all of everything else that's happening.
We dedicated the parents. We took a flourishing survey.
And we preached on Proverbs 6.
Yeah, we took up the offering. We did the whole
did it all.
thing. Yeah, and
So-
you preached.
It's a church. We had
Go
a church.
to the ant, you sluggard.
Sluggard.
Consider its ways and be wise.
I love it, man.
A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest,
That's
and
right.
poverty will be on you like a bandit, and scarcity like an armed man.
I
Don't we love
it.
the Proverbs?
Yeah.
Don't we love them?
Good times.
Just positive, uplifting message for
Makes you
a
feel
day
good.
when you're
That's
dedicating
deep.
children and families.
And you paired that with the title 9 to 5, working 9 to 5,
Working 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Obviously original to me.
made famous by Dennis Wiles and Dolly
Kind
Parton.
of like last week. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I mean, I'm coming up with all these phrases right now.
You
It's
are.
crazy. I'm on a roll.
What a way to make a living.
Consider the ant.
You got to love that, though, man, because ants, seriously. I feel like every time I go outside, I think, oh my goodness, I got to get rid of these ants.
I know, they're everywhere.
I just had to buy ant killer this weekend. Found another.
I also
It was like a whole stump in my yard that was an ant pile.
So,
They just took it over.
Yeah.
They
And
are.
plus, I just love the word sluggard. You just don't use that word very often. You know, it's just good every once in a while to be able to say it out loud.
we're not saying slugger. Go to the ant, slugger.
That's right.
Let's go to the ant, you sluggard.
Yes.
That's right.
It's much like consider the lilies. Oh no, maybe not.
It's a little bit of a different vibe.
Yeah,
They don't work.
But well received.
like a gazelle from the hand of the
well
hunter.
received, though, by my
yourself.
people in our church.
Yeah.
You know,
The sermon?
they took it well. I mean, the text, they took it well.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you didn't preach it with like a fist banging on the pulpit. No, you just use it as context that work is not all bad.
Yeah.
It's not all bad.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love Paul's quote, mind your business, mind your own business, and work with your hands.
Yeah.
You know, that's a great sentence from Paul. You know,
So I do think it's helpful because I think there's two sides that we can take this, and I think we're going to go on both sides of it. Is my sense, because on the one hand, work doesn't need a bad reputation. Work is not punishment from God.
That's
work
right.
is not.
No, it's part of the design.
It's not a product of the fall. Like work is a good thing, and I think you can think about that like just in our own lives. I have days, well, I used to before kids more, but where you like sit on the couch all day and you do nothing and you think, okay, that's not quite it. So I think we can like get there. We don't have to convince ourselves like being productive and creative is a good thing from God. The other ditch though is that a lot of people, work is very hard for them. And it's not like the systems of work that we have and that we live within are not maybe what God wants.
Are
They're
not
God's
aimed at
best.
human flourishing.
Yeah,
we
they're
can
not.
say.
And I mean, even the AI, like we're all going to get replaced by robots or the work that we can do is so low level. And I can just picture people listening to that thinking like, you know, even I feel like I do know what my contribution to the world is. I wish I could have a place to do it, but there's no job for me. So what I'm doing is flipping burgers or door dashing. And not that those aren't contributions, but your spirit, your posture toward it might be like just defeat. Like
Not
this is
everyone
just defeat.
gets to work in a way that aligns with their gifts, with their passions, with their talents.
So I think there's like that conversation looming as well. Like hopefully most people, I want for all people, I'd love 100%, are doing really what they feel is their contribution to the world. That intersection of whoever has said it, like what you love to do, what the world needs, and hopefully what you can get paid for. Beautiful home run. Man, I want that for everybody. But like, I think there is a conversation there about what happens when that just doesn't align, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
And so where do I want to go with that? I do want to make sure that our listeners here, our people here, that work is good. I don't want to skip that part because I do think we need to redeem that.
Work is part of God's design.
Yes. And in the end, when all is made right, we will work and we'll be happy in doing. You know, it's not that we get to bypass.
I mean, just imagine. I mean, that's
that.
part of the eschatological vision is like, imagine that, man, you're going to wake up and you're going to do work that is totally fulfilling. And in the day with that good kind of tired.
Which is awesome.
It's a beautiful
We're
vision.
talking about
And I
that in
think-
here. I always picture it agrarian.
Yeah.
I always picture it almost like pre-industrial revolution. Yes. It's just, I don't know, you just have a vision in your head. Like the work is much more earthy.
Yeah.
It's
maybe.
much less,
In the new, you mean the new heaven, the new earth?
and I don't know if that's, you know, we all have our thoughts on heaven that just kind of come from
Won't be any
our own
computer
eyes.
scientists or anything. You
I don't know. Or if it is, it's still somehow submitted to like the good of the earth. Because so much what we're doing right now is exploitative of the earth. And, you know, and I can sound very liberal in saying that. So like, listen, I'm not trying to take a political stance.
Well, let's
but
just do a brief history of labor.
do it. Luke
Come
looked
on,
it up.
Luke.
Luke looked it up. He's ready to roll it out. Let's
Are you
go.
going to wish us a happy Labor Day? Are you going to send cards out this year?
Well, we can talk about
next
labor.
year.
We're going to talk about labor.
Katie can't
reform.
because she confuses Labor Day and Memorial Day every year. So
Don't
she
have a
would be
clue.
sending the wrong
It's
card.
like I can't pronounce Philemon or
it's an
Philemon.
Memorial Day is in May.
It's an,
Philemon.
Just remember-
it's an inside joke for Katie. It's an
Memorial
inside
Day,
joke. Trust
May.
me, it doesn't matter.
May and
This may be
Memorial
the,
Day.
this may
start
be
with
the
M.
key. This may be the key to it.
M.
Yeah.
For
But I
Memorial
can
Day
also
in
think
May.
it through. I can say Labor Day. That's when we go back to work. You know what I mean? Like September, you go back to work. I can rationalize it, but in the
Yeah.
moment, I'll get it wrong every time.
Yeah.
This is just me.
Focus on the letter
I'm not
M.
going to
Yeah.
change. What
The
is it when
letter
people
M.
are like, you know, the intervention? You're
Yeah.
like, I am who I am.
Right.
I'm not going to change. This is
I-
me with Memorial Day and Labor
One
Day.
year on the Labor Day weekend, I said that on the Sunday morning. I said, "Hey, tomorrow's Labor Day. I mean, have you already mailed my Happy Labor Day card? I'm sure I'm going to get one from you because I mean that's how we celebrate it, right? We're going to tell everybody Happy Labor Day. I mean, but anyway, so tell us about it, Luke. Because labor, regardless of all that we just said, I believe we still should have a theology of work.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the thing. That's the
everybody.
foundation.
Let's
That's
Start
the
this
foundation.
history in the garden.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
yes. So tell us, Luke. Tell us about labor.
Yeah.
Makes the first people.
There's no computer scientists. No, I'm not. There's actually, there might be computers.
You don't know.
We don't
I
know.
don't know.
Computers can do a lot of great
But
things.
they're not going to be like diverting all the rivers to take all the water away to keep them cool. Like there has to be
Wow.
something.
Oh, my goodness.
That's for a sustainable Earth
AI data centers are raising the cost of electricity
and your water.
And water.
Yeah, let's just be honest about that.
that's
We all
right.
know that. We don't know what to do with it though, because we're all using it. So I'm not, I'm not above it. I'm using ChatGPT all the time. So like, I'm part of the problem.
Not me.
You're part of the solution.
I am.
There
I
you
don't
go.
use it at all.
Be more like Dennis.
But
Wallace.
here's the real thing: you don't know you're using it
Yeah, that's true.
because
AI is
every
part of it.
software you're
It's
using
enmeshed.
is AI. Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's a whole other podcast. And if you're interested in more of that topic, I would recommend the sociology
Okay.
book, The Last Human Job.
And I will take off my rant
Okay,
hat
good job.
and just be a participant.
Thank you, Katie.
So work starts in the garden. God makes it. It's good. Adam and Eve go to work. Adam starts naming things. They work in the garden for an indeterminate amount of time before the
I
fall.
like to think a long time.
We like to think a
Oh,
long
think
I
a
time.
love
long
that.
time.
I love that.
Yeah.
Which,
Long
spoiler
time.
alert, at the end.
Just because it only
in
gets a
Revelation.
page doesn't mean it's not.
Yeah, that's
really,
right.
really
yeah.
good.
I like to think a
Indeterminate,
long
probably.
time.
Let's think a long time.
A long
Like they got it
time.
right for so long.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Love
And they
it.
loved each other and they loved
for-
what they were doing
for just
a long
forever.
time. Why would you not do it for a long time? It's incredible.
Yeah. So, and then we moved to just ancient Israel, for example. I think sometimes we think of like ancient life as it was hard and it was hard work.
Yeah,
But
I think of like
sure.
bricks with no straw. That
Yeah.
kind of work.
But so we get to
Hard
ancient
labor.
Israel,
Yeah.
and the average worker, an average farm worker, would have worked an 8-hour day, 296 days a year, meaning they were getting over 65 days off per year. So 69 days off a year, actually, between all the festivals, the
I'm nodding.
Sabbath.
I'm nodding.
There
Yeah,
are
that's
so
pretty
many
good.
days they
That's
don't
pretty
work.
good.
And they're
Like a
working
pretty-
an 8-hour day.
Pretty ordered.
This is just
work
based on the
life.
book of the law.
Yeah, I mean, you take the festivals and all of that, and you're figuring out that many days that
Right.
they're not going to work, which is actually a very balanced approach to life. So if you think about the world that Proverbs 6 is written in, it's not make sure you're working 16 hours a day. It's
Right. Just do your
your
job.
job.
Do your job. You sluggard.
you sluggard,
Do your job.
do your job. You get 69 days off a year.
Yeah, come on.
Work hard when you can.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then we, get all of these other civilizations in here, and you can look up like ancient Rome and all of this, and there are varying amounts that people will say they worked or didn't work.
And slavery in Egypt, for all we know.
Slavery in Egypt.
Yeah, I would imagine you can't make one rule for all, like the
but
Western
anyway.
world.
So they're different cultures, but by the time we get to like the 1800s in the UK and the United States, when the Industrial Revolution hits,
Which I'm still not sure about that thing.
you're really not going to be sure about
I'm
it
just
after
kidding.
this.
I benefit
She
from it every
calls this
day.
the fall of humanity. The
Before-
second fall of humanity, the Industrial Revolution.
Well, I'm going to say this, and you're going to think, oh, maybe. Before labor became regulated,
right?
the average worker in the Industrial Revolution worked a 16-hour day, 6 days a
Those
week.
guys knew how to work.
for
right.
311 days a year, meaning they got Sundays, Christmas, and Easter off.
Let's go.
So 16 hours a day, 6
Once
days
again,
a week,
Yeah.
311
A
days a
great
year,
balanced
Yeah,
life.
your great 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 grandpa was killing it.
and dying
Yeah.
because of it.
Go to the great grandpa. Consider his work.
So you have that. And then there's a social reformer named Robert Owen who comes up with the original idea for the 8-hour workday. Maybe not original because apparently it was a thing in ancient Israel. But he had the 8-8-8 breakdown, which was 8 for work, 8 for recreation, and 8 for rest. If that sounds familiar, it's because a guy named Henry Ford picked it up,
That's where I kind of know it from.
popularized
Yeah.
it. And then around 1938, the United States had a piece of legislation called the Fair Labor Standards Act, again, 1938, and that's what created the 40-hour work week. It's kind of the gold standard in American life. And so that's 1938. Fast forward to today, most people don't work a 40-hour work week. In fact, 37%, so over 1 in 3 people actually work 2 jobs in our country now. And so we have
Say that again. 1 in 3.
1 in 3, more than 1 in 3, less than 1 in 4, more than 1 in 3,
Okay.
work 2 jobs. So, and over half of those who work 2 jobs have college degrees. So we've moved through varying phases of work and our relationship to work. So I think there are, what's the sermon to the person who's got to work 2 jobs to kind of make ends meet? Because
Does the Reba song come into your head on this one? The single mom who works 2 jobs.
Single mom
The
who
survivor.
works too hard.
Loves
What
her
is it?
kids and never stops.
It's the heart of a fighter. I'm a survivor.
gentle man.
I may not get to preach a sermon to that person because they're too tired to come to church on Sunday.
Well, and actually, I think
Or they're
great.
working on Sunday.
stats show
Yeah.
that at least half of them are working weekends and so can't come to church.
Or they've worked overnight and they're asleep. Like when
That's
you
right.
really look at the data, it's like,
Yeah.
maybe we should be.
Right.
Yeah. So what's the sermon?
about
So the 1/3 of Americans who are working 2 jobs. Is it Proverbs 6?
Go to the ant.
Go to the ant.
Go to the ant, you sluggard.
Ants sleep.
That is right.
Yes. I don't know a lot about ants. Everything has to
Yeah.
sleep, right? Everything has to rest.
Well, I think, like I said, I think the theology of work is still the answer. It's thinking through what God originally intended and reflect upon God's design and God's best. That to me is where you begin any kind of theological discussion. It's what is God revealed. But so even God, if you look at that, the opening pages of the Bible, he rested on the 7th day. So we don't know, there's no way to understand exactly the timing of all that because we don't know what the word day meant, obviously. The imagery is there for us.
Right.
But the rhythm that I think he puts in place is important of working and resting. And I think that's one of the places you start with the fact that God works, so work must be good. I believe God put his hand of blessing on it. He blessed Adam and Eve in the garden, tend the garden. Also said, I want you to work alongside me and we're going to rule over this creation. So you're going to co-rule with him. But he built into it a daily rhythm where you have to have rest every day. It's forced on you because your body can't survive without it. So he actually hardwires rest into our bodies, which to me gives me a sense of what's probably hardwired into work, that it's not supposed to be all-consuming and that's the only thing I do. Got to have some rest from it. Well, how do you rest from work? Well, I think those close relationships, physical rest, leisure, something that's completely different than what you do for a living, worship, so trying to figure out how to balance all of that to me is woven into our concept of the theology of work. But the theology of work is connected to our overall theology to begin with. And so, if we're about flourishing, we realize that we all live in broken societies that unfortunately marginalize some people and victimize them, and so we all participate in that and have to learn, first of all, to accept that reality, that there are things, just like the Fair Labor Act. I think about when my dad was coming along, he went to work at this cotton mill in Georgia when he was 12 years old. Mm-hmm. And his father had killed a hog, and the hog fell on my grandfather, broke his legs. So he couldn't work, and they lived in a mill village home. So if you lived in that home, somebody's had to work at the mill.
Yeah, contribute to that.
And my daddy had 2 older brothers. One of them was already, well, actually that's not true. He had 2 older brothers left that home. He was the 13th kid, so he had a lot of older brothers. But the 2 that were remaining at home, one of them was finishing up school. The other one was kind of, it was a very intellectual young man, and so everybody in the family agreed he needs to stay in school. My dad was in the 6th grade, and my dad was like, I hate school. And so the family lot failed him. Well, he went to work 50 cents an hour, worked 12-hour days as a 12-year-old in a cotton mill. Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, just saying that out loud causes something to rise up in every one of us because we're thinking about the 12-year-old children that we know. Mm-hmm. Okay. My granddaughter, Ada, is 11, so she's 1 year away, thinking that child, that my dad was that age. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, it was a different time.
Sure.
Expectations were, you know what I mean? Yeah. He wasn't living the same child life, but he was still that old, is my point.
Right.
And a lot fell to him, and he went to work, and it basically kept the family in their home, and there was nothing illegal about it. So just imagine today if you're running a company and said, "Hey, sorry, Luke, I'm sorry you got hurt, but Lucy's or Evelyn's going to come to work here, and I mean, if y'all want to stay here," and you go, "Okay," and I go, "Okay," we would say, well, that's absolutely ridiculous. Okay. But that is what was happening in our country.
Yeah.
Now, so it shouldn't surprise us. We had slavery in our countries. We've had a lot of stuff in our country. But it just reminds us that there are, and woven into our theology of work is our overall theology, and that is there are some things that are just unfair that lead to more unfairness and lead to suffering. And so we have to address those, which to me is a part of our understanding of our responsibility to our neighbors.
Well, it's worth pointing out that a lot of the people who were working for labor reform in this time period of, in the United States were actually Christians.
Yes.
They were Christians who were looking out at this world going, that's not it.
Right.
It's not right that a 12-year-old's
I was
going
about
to
to
work
say, you
12
want to
hours a
believe
day.
that they're looking at that thinking, well, I can't believe that this is where we are right
This ain't
now,
quite right.
that Marvin Wiles has to come to work right now so his family can stay there. Proud of him. He was proud of himself when he used to tell that story. But
He did what he had to do.
But at the same time, that was the system they were in.
It shows great sacrifice,
Exactly.
honor, all that.
But anyway,
He's really not the one that should have the
that's
shame
right. That's correct.
associated with that.
So,
It's more the
so when I
system
was
than-
coming along, I went to work when I was 12. Daddy wove into us, okay, you need to be doing something productive. And so I had a little lawn mowing. I wouldn't call it a business. That would not be the right word. But I mowed lawns.
Gig? What do you call it? Yeah, side gig.
$2 a lawn.
Precursor to the gig economy.
And because it wouldn't have really been true to call it my business because I used my daddy's lawnmower and gas. I bought the gas, but I had to use the lawnmower. So
There's a good metaphor there.
yeah. But I went to work. But I didn't have to go to work for my family's sake. It was my dad wanted me to go to work for my sake, if that makes sense. It was showing me you can go do
Work is
something
good.
productive
Go
for
do
somebody
it. Yeah.
else. Go do it, and you're going to feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
And then when you come in, here's an envelope. It's the way he made me do it, we had an envelope in our bedroom, and you put your money in that envelope, and then Daddy would come in there on Saturday night with another envelope from the church, and he would count out 10% of what was in my envelope and put it in my tithe envelope for the church.
Good things for a dad to teach.
That's
Yep.
right. So I learned a few things early
Starting
on.
young, yeah.
Well, and I think there's something in here about what you preached on Sunday morning that the aim of work is not just getting paid.
Exactly.
Well, it's really, the aim of work in general is not money. I don't think there was cash in the Garden of Eden.
That's right.
No, but you had a good quote about it's not your compensation, but your contribution.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah. Tom Nelson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
which
so
I think is a great summary of how work should be viewed. I
Work
realize
is not defined by its compensation, but by its contribution
that's right.
to others.
I mean, we have to earn a living.
We
of
do.
course.
But it's this love of
that's
money.
right. That is
across
right.
But
society that
and
creates
if you
this
get
great
back
evil.
to the theology of work,
That's right.
What was there in the beginning and will be there
Exactly.
in the end. It's not
So,
necessarily that you get paid.
You
a
know,
certain
in
amount.
Justin Whitmore Early's book on friendship, he talks about that and how he believes that it's to our detriment that everybody takes a job based on the income that they're going to receive, and we all applaud it. And he argues that he has taken his job based on his relational network and his desire for his family to have a certain kind of life in a community. And so he wasn't willing to leave his friends to take a job at another law firm, even though it was for more money. And people and he wasn't saying that bragging on himself. He was saying his argument is it's interesting how we've gotten to the point to where that's just acceptable
The
now,
bottom
and
line is not
everybody
the only
applauds
thing.
it. It's
Yep.
it's and there's really more going on here than what your paycheck is. There's more to your life than that, and I believe that's a part of a theology of work.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good word, to a certain class of people in our church, but to the person who's having to work 2 or
Exactly.
more jobs,
Yeah, exactly.
to just make it.
You got it.
What's the word to them?
Yeah, I think it fits for everybody, but I think when you find yourself in that situation, the word is to me, you do have a responsibility to provide for your family, and so as hard as it is, I believe that God is still with you in that suffering, if you want to call it suffering. I think I could use that word, where you can be so overwhelmed by responsibilities that you've got to take on an extra job, but that God hasn't forgotten you in that, and that is still once again a reminder of the brokenness of our world. It's what Jesus came to redeem. And that hopefully somehow in it, you can still find a way to glorify and honor God
what I
and
was gonna
thank Him,
point to. Yeah.
for what you're allowed to do, that you have that opportunity.
Right.
and use it as a point of influence in the lives of others, because you may be working alongside people who are miserable in it, and if somehow you could overcome the misery that you have, you could maybe become more of a joy spreader.
Because wouldn't you say, like in Paul's writings to slaves or just people not in positions of power, even in that time,
Vulnerable.
maybe even women. I mean,
Exactly.
people that don't have agency to change their lot. I think some of his, I don't want to put words in y'all, I mean, maybe it's a question for y'all, like what he would say to those people might apply somewhat. I'm not saying that we're making slaves of people that have much more agency in their life, but if they feel stuck and like, this isn't a system that I can change, whatever your job you're doing, I can't control this. I'm not in a position of power. So like, I think there's some of the Pauline kind of theology there that's about glorify God with what you got.
Yeah.
And treat everything as if you're working for God and not man.
You got it.
Because you can't change, if you're working for one of these big corporations, moving things around a warehouse at night, you're providing for your family, but the biggest influence you probably have is your posture toward it.
Exactly.
And how it influences people around you.
And the relational network that you're building. That, to me, is where you live
And that
this
feels
out.
like Paul to me, where he would say, just whatever you're doing, whatever you put your hand to, do it as if you're working for the Lord and not for man.
That's a part of a theology of work, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's one thread.
It's all part of it. Sure.
Your attitude, your posture, which I believe is crucial in everything that we do, actually, because I can remember there have been times in my life when, I've had to do things work-wise just because we had to make a living. You got to provide for your family. And so when I was in school, it wasn't necessarily fulfilling. I drove a truck for TexPac in Fort Worth when I was in seminary. But, I was grateful to have a job, made a lot of friends with a lot of fellow seminary students. We were kind of all working there together. I think that at one point there were like 90 of us working at that place, going to seminary.
So the whole seminary?
Nowadays.
Not now. Not then, but yeah.
No, not then. But, but it was one of the largest seminary employers there was besides the seminary itself. And, I made lifetime friends there with all those guys. And in the summer, when most of us weren't taking classes, some of us were, but most of us weren't, we worked extra shifts. And so we did things that weren't what we normally did. And it's really built a lot of relationships and, and we kind of, misery loves company, but so does joy. And so we would laugh about the fact that we were doing this for a living. You're throwing boxes around and you're like, okay, I may not always do this, but eventually we would somehow get around to, well, we're glad we can do it right now, at least.
Yeah. Well, I think that is such a good way of framing this, how, if you're working nights at the Amazon warehouse, that's your second job.
Yeah.
Misery loves company, but so does joy. So what does it look like to be a joyful person? And it's a fruit of the Spirit in your life.
Like one of your examples in the sermon.
Yeah.
The Delta.
Yeah, the Delta
guy.
Gate agent.
Like, what
I
does it
have
look
no
like for you
idea
to be the
what
Delta
that
guy?
job was like. It doesn't seem like a very fulfilling job to me.
I'm guessing it doesn't pay a ton.
Right.
I don't know.
But you get so many complaints from people. You've been to the airport. People are not on their best behavior.
I'm not on my best behavior at the airport.
They're just not.
I'm part of the problem.
Yeah.
It's just not. It is not a conducive place
Misery
for
loves
joy.
company,
That's
but so
right.
does joy, Katie.
Well, I have not yet found a way to bring joy through that security with me, but I'll work on it.
Because typically the only reason
kidding,
you
I'm
talk
kind.
to a
I'm
gate
kind.
agent
We know.
at the airport
Is if you have problems.
is when you're mad.
Otherwise, you keep to yourself, right?
Yeah, when you just go there and you see, okay, I'm boarding in 5 minutes. But the people that are up there in line, they're not there exchanging pleasantries. And I just watch that guy manage people and laugh and smiling and handling things. And
So what can that look like?
That's why I finally just went over to him and I said, okay, man, seriously. Yeah. And it was so funny because he kind of looked around like he was undercover, And I'm sure he's wondering, can I even say this? I'm working for a secular company, but he said, I'm actually on assignment from God. I'm a Christian and my job is right here. And I was like, dude, I told him, I said, I'm a pastor, and he just high-fived me, and I thought, man, send that everywhere, I don't think that it has to be superficial and Pollyannish. I think it's coming to grips with reality. This is what I have to do at this point in my life. And I'm grateful for all the people that do it all, and that's another thing I tried to say Sunday morning. We just expect things to work in our society, and they do a lot of times.
Because people work.
Because people work, and it's fascinating to me the way people, that people know how to do stuff that I don't know how to do. And I'm so grateful that we have those people, and people that are willing to do things. that I have no clue how to do. And as they work, they're just contributing to life. You know, I met a local pastor for lunch last week, and we went down to a restaurant, and a young lady that was waiting on us, I just asked her, I said, so how's your life going? And it kind of stopped her for a second, because, she's just taking our order and going to go eat our drinks, and I just said, so how's life going? And she said, okay.
Yeah.
I said, what is life for you? And she kind of stood there for a second. She said, really? I said, yeah, what is life for you? And she said, well, actually, I'm going to TCC right now, to school. And I said, really? I said, how's that going? She said, well, it's actually really hard. She said, I'm taking some hard classes. She said, because I'm wanting to go in the medical field. And right now I'm taking chemistry. And she started talking about it all. And you could just watch her just kind of relaxing. And I just said, well, that's awesome. I said, well, so you're working here? She said, oh yeah, I have to have a job. And because, I'm kind of paying my way. I said, well, man, we are so proud of you. Good job. And I mean, it just completely changed our whole dynamic, and I just thought it's not rocket science, to just engage people and
as someone who's waited tables in the past, some of the worst people to wait tables for are churchy people.
Yeah.
The Sunday.
So
the Sunday lunch crowd.
Way to be.
Shame on us.
Yeah, I know.
That's awful.
So I just wanted her to know we're proud of her. We asked her if we could pray for her, and she said, well, yeah. And so when it was all over, I paid for it and gave her a tip. But when I was leaving, I just walked over to her and handed her $20, and I just said, hey, you know what? Go get you something to eat this evening, and because I know you're busy. And she looked at me like, and again, I'm not saying that about myself. I'm just saying.
No, but that's the way to be.
I had a really good meal. It was brought to me. You know what I mean? I did nothing but all I did was sit
tables,
down.
That's a hard job.
Yeah.
You
can afford it.
Is a hard job.
I'm appreciative of what's happening around me, because I believe people are contributing to our overall well-being. That's a part of my theology of work, is being grateful for it. Just like right now, I'm sitting here. I have no idea how any of this works. You know what I mean? I have no clue about this podcast.
Nope.
We got this box in front of us. It's a whole bunch of lights on. I have no idea what it's doing.
Let me say, I can vouch for that,
Okay,
ladies and gentlemen.
I know how to hit the
We got
button.
Addison here.
But
We
I don't
got
know
Kyle.
how this technology works. Who designed this, Mike?
So here's what I know.
This is like the podcast.
Sometime
Mike. It's
tomorrow,
everywhere.
anybody that wants to can access this and hear it, and hopefully grow in their faith because of it. And I have no clue how any of it works. So I'm just grateful that we have people that use what they are able to do to make this world a better place. And that's a part of my theology of work. And granted, the world's broken. I know that. And I hope that I'm in a small way, helping to make it better as best I can when I have that influence, to do that.
I think that's the charge as the people of God, is the principalities and powers of this world are aiming it at anti-flourishing.
That's right.
So
Always.
we live in a world aimed at anti-flourishing because of the fall, because of the principalities and powers at work.
Yeah. So you're swimming upstream if you're trying to help other people flourish.
Yeah, flourishing isn't about just you. It's how do we be a flourishing people for the sake of others flourishing in an anti-flourishing world.
Right. And that is connected to our theology of work.
Yep.
So yeah, I love it.
It is.
So whether you are the CEO of a company or you are working your second job at Amazon, loading boxes, moving them around, how do you contribute to the flourishing of the people around you?
Amen. But if you happen to see a lazy person, go up to them and quote Proverbs 6 and just say, "Why don't you go observe
It's a really
the
fun
ant,
one to
you
memorize.
sluggard?"
Go watch those ants. Sluggard.
I mean, that's a method. Let's just say that's a method. It may not be the method, but it's a method.
I love it.
Oh, man. All good.
Well, I bet we'll come back next week, and I bet we'll have a lot to talk
Let's
about.
do it again. Okay.
I'm sure we will.
Thank y'all.
See y'all next week.
Thanks for listening to the Tell Me More podcast today. You can subscribe to this podcast on your app of choice, or you can visit us at fbca.org to find out more information about the podcast and our church. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.